I was speaking to a client a couple of days ago. She's on the journey of developing a healthy relationship with food. That's why she's working with us. She wants a normal and healthy relationship with food, and she wants a good body image. And she was reaching out because she needed some support in being able to give herself permission to eat. She was recognizing this trap that she was in, and she wasn't sure how to get out of it. She's like, I'm not giving myself full permission to eat, and now I'm in a scarcity mindset around food. So now my cravings are higher and I'm thinking about food more. I'm using willpower to try to stop myself from eating too much, and then I snap, and then I pendulum swing. I go into what the hell effect, we call it, and then I'm binging, and then that's reinforcing the fact like, hey, look, you shouldn't give yourself full permission to eat because you can't be trusted. She was like, and I'm just going around and around, and I'm spiraling in this slightly. This is a very classic example of an internal conflict, right? I want to give myself permission to eat. I don't want to give myself permission to eat. And this is how we addressed it so that she could take a step forward. I asked her, why, first of all, do you want to give yourself permission to eat? Let's unpack the motivations there. She's like, well, I want to give myself permission because then I'll get out of the scarcity. And I know from experience that my binge eating will come down. And also I just want to have permission to eat, right? I want to have a healthy relationship with food. Okay, now tell me about your motivation for not wanting to give yourself permission. What's driving that? What are you afraid of that will happen if you give yourself permission to eat? She's like, well, I'm still very attached to my body. I still feel like I need to look a certain way and have a certain body type in order to be happy. And I'm afraid that if I give myself permission, then I'm not only not going to achieve that body, I'm going to keep gaining weight forever and ever and ever. So I was like, okay, that makes perfect sense. This is really valid. You've got these two different motivations pulling you in two different directions. So as long as they remain as they are, you're going to keep doing this. So my question to you now is, do you want, and it's a genuine question, okay, do you want for your happiness and your body type to remain interlinked? She was like, but I can't imagine being happy unless I look a certain way. I was like, I know, that makes perfect sense. Just right now, just the question is, what's your goal here? And she said, I do want them to be separate things. I want to be happy regardless of my body. Okay, so I asked her, can you be more specific about what you mean by happy? Because happy is a very overarching term. It's like 50 different emotions and states that are associated with happy. It could be excited, it could be joyful, it could be confident, it could be free, etc. What do you mean by happy? And what she said is, it's confidence and feeling good about myself. So I checked with her, okay, and at the moment you feel confident and you feel good about yourself if you have a certain body type. And she said, yes. Like, okay. Then it makes perfect sense why you would be fearful to give yourself full permission around food, right? Because what's on the line here is your ability to like yourself, your ability to feel good about yourself. If you're not controlling your body, then you're not controlling your opinion of yourself. You're not able to feel good about yourself. So that makes perfect sense. And so I asked her, this feeling of feeling good about yourself when you look a certain way, is it about internal confidence or is it about gaining external validation and approval from others? And she smiled and she giggled and she said, you know what? If I was on a desert island and it was only me, then I would not care about exactly what shape or size my body was. She was like, I'd want to be mobile, I'd want to be able to climb some rocks, yeah, but I wouldn't care like I care right now. If I didn't have to see anyone, it wouldn't matter as much or at all. And then she kind of sparked up and she was like, and if I didn't have to see anyone and I was just on this desert island, I think my relationship with food would just sort of balance out. And I was like, isn't that interesting? Tell me more about that. And she said, I don't really know how to describe it. It's just more like a feeling, a sense that if I wasn't around anyone, then I would just be doing my thing and my relationship with food and my eating would just sort of balance out and my weight would balance out. And I was like, this is very interesting. What a great realization. So I asked her, okay, how can we bring that mentality, whatever that mentality and perspective is that you'd have if you were on a desert island, how can we bring that into the real world, your real life, where you are around other people? And she said, well, I've seen other people operate like this. They're just kind of themselves, they do their thing, they're not really worried about the opinions of other people. She was like, I think there's a lot in there for me about assertiveness. She was like, I still struggle a lot with people pleasing and caring about the opinions and the judgments of other people. She's like, I feel like if I could get that nailed down, then that would essentially solve this for me. And restricting yourself and harming yourself and making yourself go hungry in order to look a certain way, in order to appease other people, what is that if not people pleasing? Being in the state of, I'm developing a healthy relationship with food, I'm taking the very best care of myself that I can, and this is the body that I have whilst I'm doing that. What is that if not an act of assertiveness? And she was like, yeah, I really see that. And she was like, and do you know what, Rach? Because we have a whole module inside at She Thrives within the program that we have to help people to develop a healthy relationship with food. We've got a whole section there on assertiveness for this reason, which she's been through. She was like, you know what, I think that I still would like to spend some more time developing that mini skill of assertiveness, because I've really noticed that when I am being assertive, in the moments that I have started to do that, I feel empowered, I feel good about myself, I feel secure, I feel stable, and it feels right to me. So I think it would be helpful to spend some more time there developing assertiveness. She was like, but I am terrified of it. And I was like, well, that makes perfect sense. You've got all of this conditioning. There was a reason why you learned to be a people pleaser, right? It made sense at some point in your life to keep you safe, and it made sense then. And you've got all of that conditioning surrounding that, telling you that being assertive is dangerous, it's going to make you isolated, it's a wrong thing to do, so be compassionate to that. This is a journey, this is a process, and assertiveness is a skill, so you're allowed to interact with it as a skill, something to practice and develop over time. It would be so unreasonable to go from all of that old conditioning telling you to be a people pleaser to, oh, I've heard about assertiveness now, and now I'm 100% assertive all of the time. That would be so unreasonable. Consider that you've got to give yourself the experience, little bit by little bit, of being assertive, proving to yourself that you are safe doing that, that it's appropriate to do that. And if you keep showing up like that, there's no reason why your brain, as it were, and your conditioning will get on board with the concept and stop fearing it and stop sending out the alarm bells. But allow yourself to be on that journey. You are practicing assertiveness when you reflect back on the day and I was doing some people pleasing there, and if I had been assertive, this is what I would have done. That's practicing assertiveness. And you're practicing assertiveness when you are outright being assertive. And any time that you're doing any of this practicing, what you are reinforcing to yourself is that I matter as much as other people matter. I said to her, at the moment it might feel like still at this stage, other people matter and I matter less. And every time that you are practicing assertiveness, you're bringing that back into the healthy balance where it's meant to be. And I said to her, do you notice, logically speaking, that the more that you're practicing this and the more that you're demonstrating to yourself, I matter, the more your self-esteem is growing, the more your self-love is growing, and seemingly the less other people's opinions and external validation seem to matter. And this made a lot of sense to her. And then, of course, that feeds into this attachment that you have to your body. The less that you are needing external validation in order to feel good, the less need there is to control your body in order to get that external validation, so it all feeds in. And so I said to her, maybe for this week, lead with that, keep practicing that assertiveness. And it's like, if you feel uncomfortable going out and being assertive, if that's too much of a step for you at the moment, then you can always practice assertiveness on your own at home, because at the moment, you may find that you've got these two parts to you. You've got the part of you that's like, I want to wear that dress. It's colourful, it's fun, it's totally my style, and I want to be able to wear it, right? And I want to enjoy wearing it. And then you've got the part of you that comes online when you catch yourself in the mirror, potentially, it's saying, oh, you don't look right, you don't look good enough, and tries to put you down. You can set boundaries with yourself around that and say, no, I hear you, but I matter and I deserve to enjoy wearing this dress. And that really, really resonated with her. She loved that idea of having boundaries with herself and practicing assertiveness with herself, that sense of I matter. And I always find conversations like this really interesting, because here's a woman who wants to develop a healthy relationship with food, wants to develop good body image, and she was coming saying, I'm struggling to give myself permission. I want to give myself permission to eat because I don't want to be in the scarcity mindset. I recognize that it's important for having a healthy relationship with food, but I'm really struggling to be able to practice that genuinely. And then before you know it, her and I are having a conversation about developing assertiveness. But it makes sense, you know, as she develops more assertiveness, she's developing that sense of I matter. She's developing her self-esteem and self-love. The less that she needs external validation in order to feel good about herself, the less that she needs to control her body, and the more able she is to give herself genuine permission to eat. And I think that's such a beautiful and fascinating thing. I hope this video is helpful for you. If you want to speak to us directly, if you want to speak to me directly about the process that we have for developing a healthy relationship with food, then you're very welcome to book in for a discovery call. We can have a discussion. I can get to understand you, what's going on for you, what your goals are, and we can start to get a sense if our approach that we have at She Thrives within our program could also work for you in getting to your goals. Again, I'll leave a link for that discovery call down below if you're interested. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.